Cool. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us tonight. My name is Rebecca Mangan. I serve as the president of NRHH. We are really excited to present to you night one of RHA and NRHH's election speaker series. Thank you so much to our speakers who have joined us tonight and to all of our participants, and we can't wait to get things going.
So, hi, I'm Hayden Smith. I'm the president of the Residence Hall Association, or as we call it, RHA. And we create programs to advocate, educate, and entertain the UNCW residents.
The purpose of tonight's event is to further educate our residents and our campus community on ways that they can get involved this election season, particularly with voting. So tonight we have some information primarily about absentee voting and then a bit about early voting processes in New Hanover County. We are joined by two specialists from the OSLE office. The first is Hannah Horowitz. She is a sophomore majoring in public health and serves as one of the Campus Election Engagement Project Fellows from OSLE. She's also working with the Campus Vote Project on some more long-term civic engagement projects for UNCW students.
Our other host is Jessica Swidella. She is a junior and she's majoring in political science and environmental science as well. She is the other of the two Campus Election Engagement Project Fellows at UNCW, working with the Office of Student Leadership Engagement.
And with that, you all can take it away.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. So our presentation today, like was said, is going to be about absentee voting and early voting. And I'm Jessica Scavella. As said, we are Campus Election Engagement Project Fellows, and we work with the Office of Student Leadership and Engagement. So a lot of the information that we are going to be telling you and workshops and other stuff that we do is actually through the Office of Student Leadership and Engagement here on campus. Okay, so we just want to put this disclaimer out there. So this can be hard. Election stuff is hard. It's not easy. You are 100% allowed to be confused. We get confused about it and it's our job. So don't feel bad. It's overwhelming, but there's information that you can find online. You can talk to us, anything like that. If you have a question, even if we don't know it, we will get it answered for you in some way. So we're going to start with a little bit of election vocab. So some words that you need to know, one of them is polling place. So this is the location where you would cast your ballot, your vote in person. Absentee ballot is a ballot completed and typically mailed in advance of an election by a voter who is unable to be present at the polls, which is what we're going to be mainly focusing on today. Board of Elections is the nonpartisan organization with the overall responsibility for administration of voter registration and the electoral process. So these are the people that are going to be collecting your absentee ballots, collecting your in-person ballots, and they're going to be counting all that up. So they're nonpartisan too, which means that they shouldn't sway one way or the other, and they should not do anything to your ballots. And then one-stop early voting is where voters can place a ballot by appearing in person at designated locations prior to Election Day. So that actually opened today in North Carolina, but it's from the 15th to the 31st of October. So you can go, and it's not at every polling place, but it is throughout at least New Hanover County. There's one off of Racine Drive. That's actually the Board of Elections office for New Hanover County. And then lastly is a witness. So this is a person who needs to be present while you are filling out your absentee ballot and signs the outside envelope. but they aren't supposed to see what you're voting for, so they can like be in the general space, but they shouldn't be like looking over your shoulder. And so we just have a couple of fun facts, I guess. So there's 19 days until the November 3rd election date. There's 12 days to request your absentee ballot, October 27th. It must be requested before then. And there's 16 days until the early voting period ends. Like I said before, this is October 15th to October 31st, specifically in North Carolina. And then what comes with your absentee ballot? So you're going to receive, in North Carolina, you're going to receive a ballot that is specific to your area, a return envelope, and an instruction sheet explaining how to fill it out and about the witness. It does not come with a stamp, at least in North Carolina. You do have to get a stamp to put on your return envelope. A nice thing that the Office of Student Leadership and Engagement, OSLE, is offering is we are offering free stamps. So you can come into our office, get a stamp, put it on your envelope, and walk right into the other Fisher building and drop it off with the post office. So that's really a neat opportunity. But I just wanted to point out that I keep saying it's just for North Carolina, it's just for North Carolina. All the states are different. We specialize in North Carolina because Hannah and I are Camp Selection Engagement Project Fellows for UNCW and for North Carolina. So all the information that we're going to be telling you is specific to North Carolina, but if you're looking for information for a different state, you can look at your Board of Elections website and that should give you as much information as possible.
All right. Hello, my name is Hannah Horowitz. I'm the other fellow. So there's about 7 million registered voters right now in the state of North Carolina, which is very exciting. And we have also seen a really high turnout in early voting so far, well, not so far, but in early voting across the country, as well as a high request in absentee ballots. So that is very exciting. All right, so the way this works is that it's kind of in a pop quiz format. So we're going to ask you a series of true or false questions. And then in order to answer, you're going to click the annotate button. And that's under view options, I want to say. And if you click on the drop down, it should say annotate. And you're going to stamp the answer on the screen. Okay, so number 1. Only people currently out of the country, like active duty service members, can utilize an absentee ballot. True or false? Okay. I think we're good. That is false. Any eligible voter can request an absentee ballot. So the reasons that someone would want to vote using an absentee ballot is unsure if they will be able to vote on election day or during early voting, or uncomfortable voting in person due to COVID-19. I know that was personally my decision, which led to the decision of me voting by absentee. And then also you can check the status of your ballot submission online. Should I just mention ballot track now, or do you want? Yeah.
We can do it an hour later.
Okay. Well, just for information, there's a thing called ballot tracks, and we will talk more about that later.
Okay, so this is our second question. If you request an absentee ballot, you must vote through absentee voting. And remember, there's no stupid answers or anything like that. The whole point of this presentation is so that we can help y'all receive the information. Okay, awesome. Looks like the majority is false. So we will move on. So it is false. So if you return an absentee ballot, you do not have to use it. So you can request an absentee ballot. You can choose not to fill it out. If you are worried about being able to participate in early voting or on November 3rd on election day, and you're like hesitant, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to make it, request an absentee ballot. There is nothing wrong with that. You can request it just in case, you'll have it on hand. If you do end up using this absentee ballot and you mail it in and they've received it and you go to vote in person, they will turn you away. It is illegal. Do not do that. You cannot vote twice. You can only vote one way or the other. So if you choose to do absentee ballot and you have already mailed it off, do not go to vote early or vote in person.
Okay, number 3, you can request an absentee ballot up until November 3rd. True or false? Okay, I still see some coming in, but looks like we have a few more on the false side. Okay. That is false. You can only request an absentee ballot up until October 27th. So requests can be made now through October 27th, 2020. Any requests that are received after the October 27th date risk not arriving in time for the voter to fill out and send back to the Board of Elections office. And before I mentioned the ballot track website, so that is how I track my ballot. I think Jessica's going to pull it up. I thought it was a really great tool, but we're going to kind of walk through how to get there. So this is the North Carolina State Board of Elections website. As you can see at the top, it's ncsbe.gov. So you clicked on voting, and then she clicked on vote by mail. And absentee ballot tools.
This is also where you can request your absentee ballot if you haven't already done that.
Oh my gosh, I hate those. Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
So you can see how they text. So I got texts like straight to my phone every time that the ballot was accepted, when it was coming to me, and then when it got sent back to the Board of Elections. So as you can see right here, it says accepted, and then just that's what it does.
Yeah.
I agree.
Awesome.
It is this very super cool resource.
Okay. Yeah, so we would definitely recommend using that if you are choosing to absentee vote. I know that people are worried, like, does my absentee vote count and stuff like that? Will they receive it? That is a way to ensure that they are receiving your absentee ballot. Okay, so the question 4 is you can deliver your absentee ballot request form in person.
Quick question from the chat for y'all, if I may. You know if it's possible to track the ballot request?
I was about to hop in and answer that. So when I had to go back to my ballot track, my text messages. So you basically just sign up for it. And then it should say your ballot for the upcoming election has been mailed to you. And that was the first text message I got. So I don't think that they don't track your actual request. But they're pretty good about getting those. I wouldn't really feel concerned about that. So if that's what you're worried about, you're fine.
Okay, so it looks like we've got mostly true for this one. It is true. So you can deliver your absentee ballot request form in person. So you must request an absentee ballot before the deadline, like the October 27th deadline. Request forms can be dropped off, faxed, which if you use fax, use it, but emailed or mailed to the Board of Elections. I know people who so the Board of Elections in New Hanover County office is off of Racine, so it's like a 3-4 minute drive from campus, so that's really convenient. But absentee by mail forms were available September 4th, and the request deadline is October 27th because it needs to give them enough time to send your ballot back to you for then you to send it back. You need your proof of identification. It's like a driver's license number, and absentee ballots must be received by 5 p.m. on election day or postmarked by election day and received by 5 p.m. 3 days after. Definitely plan ahead. Like I said earlier, different states have different rules, and absentee ballots do count. If you're worried about it not necessarily counting in like the presidential election, I do get that, but state elections and local elections come down to like a couple hundred votes and stuff like that sometimes. So it's really important that you fill out your entire ballot, whether you're voting absentee ballot or in person. It's really important to fill out that entire ballot. And you can also deliver your absentee ballot in person to your Board of Elections office.
All right, so these are just the numbers. So it says about 1 million, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. We're gonna say 1 million absentee ballots have been requested in North Carolina and 500,000 have been cast. So that's almost half, I wanna say, roughly half, which is very exciting. Okay, so question number 5. There are 2 witnesses required to sign the return envelope for an absentee ballot in North Carolina. True or false?
Oh, sorry. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Sorry, y'all. I pressed the wrong button. There we go. Okay. If y'all wouldn't mind re-annotating that. I tried to press the annotate button and it's right above the stop share. So I accidentally clicked the wrong one. Awesome. So it looks like a majority of y'all said false. It is false. You only need 1 witness to sign your absentee ballot. And like I said, so you get an envelope, and on the outside of that envelope is your witness signature. You only need 1, and that absentee ballot requires the witness name, the address of the witness and the witness's signature. A really cool part of this is that OSLE, specifically me and OSLE, are offering drop-in hours from Monday from 3:30 to 4:30 and Wednesday from 12:30 to 1:30 every week up until election time, and I will sign and witness essentially your absentee ballots. Okay. So 6, there are no limitations on who your witness for your absentee ballot can be. Okay, looks like we've got mostly false. It is false. There are limitations for who your witness on your absentee ballot can be. So that witness must be 18 years or older, and it can't be a candidate unless that candidate is a near relative or your legal guardian. And like I said before, they would put their name, their address, and their signature on the envelope. So a common mistake made when absentee voting is actually the witness information. So although having a witness is really important, you do need a witness if you're doing absentee voting. Just watch what your witness is doing. Make sure they're filling out the correct information, because it would not be good if the witness information was the reason that your ballot does not get counted. So it is really important to watch what they are putting on.
All right. So number 7, if you have already returned your absentee ballot, they will not let you vote in person. True or false? All right, I think we're good. That is true. As most of you did indicate, if you have already returned your absentee ballot, they will not let you vote in person. And as Jessica said earlier, they will turn you away. If you do mail in an absentee ballot, you cannot also vote in person. It is illegal. Do not try to vote twice, please. If your ballot has already been processed, you will not be permitted to vote. Okay, another common mistake in absentee voting is people not returning their absentee ballot in time. As we gave you guys the dates, it has to be postmarked by November 3rd at the absolute latest. Highly recommend getting in ASAP, especially if you're voting. If you're voting absentee, get that in ASAP. And then the final date is 5 p.m. on November 6th.
So that is the end of our absentee ballot information, but there are actually a couple of other websites that we wanted to share with you guys. So there is this voter search. So I'll show you all how to get to that. So again, it's voting. This is this is the North Carolina one. Okay, no, it's registering, sorry. Registering, and then you click check your registration.
Jessica, will you reshare your screen?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Hold on. That's weird. Okay, can y'all see it now? Wonderful. Okay, sorry about that. So this is the North Carolina Board of Elections website. You're going to click this registering tab, and it's going to say checking your registration, voter search, and that's going to bring you to this page. So I'm going to really quickly input my information. That also tells you if you're active. So I'll go back really quick. So you can see this is the county that I'm active in, Wilmington, my name, all that fun stuff. So the reason that I wanted to show you all this is, one, just to make sure that you are registered, and two, it has sample ballots. So you can click under sample ballots and you can look at your sample ballot. And something that I like to do, since I personally like to vote in person, I know that it's a little bit weird this year, but is I'll print out this sample ballot and I'll fill it out like I was filling out my actual ballot. I'll do all my research at home. It's a long ballot this year. And then I'll be in person, I'll get my actual ballot, and I'll pull out my fake sample ballot and I'll fill out what I filled out on my sample ballot and then give them my normal ballot. You cannot just bring your sample ballot in and give them that. They won't accept that. Don't try to do that. It also tells you your election, my voter details, my jurisdiction. So this is like the specific seats that you're voting on, and my voter history, and it actually tells you if you've requested your absentee ballot. So this shows you your status, and it'll give you the Ballot Tracks website. And another useful website, can y'all see this? This page? Okay, awesome. So another useful website is actually Hannah and I's What We're Through, so the Campus Election Engagement Project website, and you can click on guides. And so we're North Carolina, and this actually gives you a guide for a good amount of different people that are running, nonpartisan, completely. So you can open up like the presidential one if it wants to load. That's unfortunate. Okay, there we go. And this will give you the issues, which candidate, and a lot of information. So if you're looking for nonpartisan voter guides, this is very helpful. Okay. And then, Hannah, do you have anything else to add about any of that?
Yeah, just a big thing with me is kind of just finding that nonpartisan information. I know it's so difficult to kind of find that information now in such a polarized society, but getting that information is really important. So there was a website that I really like using. Oh, 538. That's a really good website for also just for updated like polls and stuff. There's another one that if it comes to me, I'll put it in the chat. But that there's many nonpartisan websites that you can use that will give you unbiased information, which is extremely helpful when you're deciding who to vote for.
I'm just going to really quickly put these into the chat.
Oh, and Becca asked something in the chat. She asked, you are allowed to write down who you are voting for in each category and bring that with you if you're voting in person. I know you've done that before, so
yes,
answer that.
You can.
Follow-up question. Are you allowed to write it in your notes on your phone and bring your phone into the polls with you?
So I don't think, okay, so you're not supposed to take pictures of your ballot. Don't do that. You'll get in trouble. Second of all, I don't think you're supposed to, but when I voted in March, I voted in person on election day, and I totally forgot about one candidate, like one section of candidates. So I did pull out my phone and I looked them up and did a little bit of research there. So I don't think you're supposed to, but they did not say anything to me.
Yeah, I try to stay away from that. Like I think the sample ballot is probably, and then if they question it, you can just be like, it's a sample ballot. So
Yeah. And they do like look at your ballot before they insert it into their special machine and stuff like that. So they'll see if it's a sample ballot. You know, they look different. But I'm going to put a little plug in. Can y'all see the presentation?
yeah, you're
Okay.
good.
So a little plug. So OSLE does a lot of leadership development and community connections. So actually this upcoming Saturday on the 17th, we're having our annual Seahawk Leadership Conference. So a bunch of people within the community, the Wilmington community and the UNCW community are actually speaking at this. And I know that one of the committee members that's been planning this conference, Katie, is here right now. So definitely would check that out. We also have our Emotionally Intelligent Leadership Workshop series. These are really awesome. They help to improve your emotional intelligence. You can actually gain a certification from it. So you go to like 5 workshops to get the first certification, and it's every 5 workshops you get a new certification. So I'm actually personally, I think I've done 20 or 21. So I'm at like the platinum level. So that's really cool. And then Clifton Strengths Finder, that is another like leadership development sort of assessment. I know that quite a few people do this on campus, but you just learn more about yourself. It's really awesome. And then OSLE does workshops based on that. And then there's also custom workshops and peer facilitation that can be done with the Seahawk Leadership Advisory Council with their peer educators. So they'll come to different organizations and stuff and do presentations. We also have our digital learning community, Leadership in Color. So if you're sick of Zoom stuff, this is purely on Facebook and on Instagram, and it's just like a chatting community. There's also volunteer opportunities, both virtual and in person with OSLE, as well as our Hawks Harvest Food Pantry. Hannah and I work with UNCW Votes and the election engagement team on here. And with that, we actually have 2 more workshops coming up. So we have our Politics of Policy next Wednesday. So we're going to be talking and breaking down each section of the ballot. So starting with federal and then state and then district and county stuff. So we're going to be breaking that down. You'll learn about all the stuff you need to know. I'm currently putting that presentation together, but it'll be really good. It's a lot of good information. And then beyond the vote, activism and accountability. This is good if you just want to know, like, now you voted, what do you do essentially? But that is it. Do y'all have any questions for us? Sorry, that was very quick, that last part, but.
Y'all are good. Thank you guys so much. Questions for the group, if you will just put an X in the chat and then Hayden and I will call on you. Quick question for our presenters. How can we register for your programs coming up in the coming weeks?
Yes, those are all on Wavelink, as well as, so the Politics of Policy and the Beyond the Vote, I know that the Politics of Policy one is up, but they should be on Wavelink. You can click registering on Wavelink and all that jazz. Both Hannah and I have in person, she has online drop-in hours, and the information for those is on Wavelink as well. The presidential debates are also on Wavelink. All of that information is on Wavelink. And at least for my hours, you don't need to register on Wavelink because they're in person. You can just walk in. I'll be your witness. Hannah, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about yours.
Yeah, sure. Mine are really informal. You can just come in. Mine switched over from voter registration to voter education because the October 9th voter registration deadline has passed. So I'll basically just be talking about same thing that we've covered here: absentee ballot questions, vote in person, and election day voting questions. The other thing I'd like to bring up is the Donuts for Democracy thing that we're doing. That's going to be taking place on one of the days that I have my drop-in hours. My drop-in hours are on Monday from 4 to 5. And those are, for the next 3 Mondays up until the day before Election Day. So one of my drop-in hours will be used for the Donuts for Democracy event. That's help. The Seahawk Links are kind of collaborating with us to do that. I have very limited information on it, but I do know that it is October 26th from 4 to 5, and it will be up on Wavelink.
We have a question from Kendall Hart.
Hey, okay, so can either Hannah or Jessica just describe where y'all's office is? Like, I know where it is, but I know other people might not know where it is. So if they're trying to go to do a witness, they might not know where like Suite 2029 is.
Yeah. So it's the Fisher Student Center. So that's the one with Einstein's. Yeah, Einstein's. And the bookstore. It's on the 2nd floor. And if y'all know where the Cake Suite is or the SGA office, it's actually in that same general area. It's towards the front of the building, which the one with all the windows that you can sit outside on the 2nd floor. But there's like a little pathway that you can go. If you're walking from the bridge and you just walk straight, you'll hit a door eventually farther back after the SGA office, after the cake office, and you will run into a door, and that is a OSLE door. And usually there's at least someone in there, and they're all really nice. So highly recommend just saying hi, but I'm biased, so.
So question. So what do the witnesses have to do other than just be there and sign their name?
I can answer that one. That's pretty much it. The witnesses, their job is just to kind of witness the fact that you are filling out your ballot. Not like them, they're not supposed to like watch you fill out your ballot. So just have them ready to just sign their address and their name and their signature. That's it.
Thank you.
Do either of you have information to get involved to volunteer working at the polls?
I know that you can sign up through both the county and the state website, but I don't know if that's closed because today was the first day. And I know that you have to go through training to do that. They won't throw you into it. So I'm not 100% positive if it's been closed, but I do know that they need it now. No, go ahead.
I think that because my sister is also being a poll worker, and so she is doing them for all the early vote and for Election Day. You might be able to get trained before Election Day. Don't take my word for it, but you could probably only work Election Day. So, but I do know that they do have a major shortage of poll workers because most of the poll workers are usually over 60, between 60 or over that age because of COVID, and it's just, they don't feel like it's safe for them. So any young people who want to come and work the polls, that would be marvelous.
I also work the polls in my hometown, and if you reach out to the Office of Registrars for your town or county, I'm sure they would be so happy to have you. And personally, I did the primary just this past summer, and we had an online module to complete. So I'm not sure that you would even need to be in person, but I don't know how it works for other places, obviously.
Okay, that's great. I think maybe for Election Day, it does have to be in person just because of COVID protocols. But that's great information. Thank you.
Anyone have any other questions? The floor is open. The chat is open. Feel free to drop an X. No question is too big or too small. I say that, but I'm not the one answering the questions.
How long does it typically take to receive your ballot after you order it?
Ooh, we were talking about this one earlier. I know in the presentation we had a week and a half, but it honestly, it might be shorter now. There's really not a rough estimate, but I would definitely say get it in as soon as possible. Get your request in as soon as possible, like this week, if you're planning on doing that, just so you can gauge your time. Do you want to say anything about that? Yes.
Well, I know that, so it was a week and a half when I was talking to someone about it, but that was like 3-4 weeks ago, like right at when they were sending out like a bulk of the absentee ballots. So I know that it's definitely changed, and I would assume that it's become a shorter amount of time between when you request and when you get it. But I would say give it a week about, and like Hannah said, there's a couple things that we've like continuously repeated. One of them is request your absentee ballot now if you know that you're gonna absentee vote. It's just really important for you to get it, have the time to look it over, and then be able to send it back and get it in for it to count. And same thing with like don't vote twice. That's illegal. Don't do that. So just a couple little, please do or please don't do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So but like as we said before, like if you, for some reason, if you request your absentee ballot and you maybe don't think it's going to get back in on time, well, maybe you request it super late in October, like the day before, and you just don't think it's going to get on time, you can still request your ballot and go to vote in person, but just do not, like we said, do not fill out your ballot, send it back, and then go to vote.
Thank you.
Yeah, you answered my question about because I requested a ballot that hasn't gotten back to me yet. So I was like, oh no, what if it's not in time? But now I know I can have options.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely, you can try to ballot tracks it, or ballot track. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but I would definitely just look at that to make sure that it should say like it's been sent. So at least you'll have that sort of information, but otherwise you can't do, track it where it's been exactly,
I wish you could. Maybe we'll do that for the next primary.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'll go look for mine on the website.
Any more questions?
I have one more, and it's kind of a part two to the last question. How long after we submit it will it typically take to get back to the county?
I can give you the rough estimate of how many days it took for me. Sorry, let me pull it up really quickly. While I'm doing this, do you know, Jessica, do you have an exact answer?
I don't have an exact answer, but I would say probably about a week for them to, or less. That you just don't know, because I know that the mail service has been slower-ish than normal, and a ton of people have been using absentee voting. I don't want to say this for sure, so don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure this is the largest turnout for turnout. You can't turn out for absentee voting. But, turnout virtually at home for absentee voting ever, and before even absentee ballots, before you could even request it and stuff like that, or no. So that September 4th date for 2020 was when they started sending them out and stuff like that and made it available. It was a huge influx right away. And I mean, like Hannah said, 500,000 people have already sent in their absentee ballots. That's just in North Carolina. That's huge. That's not a normal number. So it's good, but yeah, it means they're busy.
So to answer that question, so I requested so I requested my ballot, like I said, back in August. They indicate I got that ballot on September 17th. I waited a little bit to fill it out, and then I sent it back. I think probably Monday I put it in the mail. Tuesday, I got a message that said your ballot is being returned. The Postal Service has indicated that it has your ballot. And then Thursday, October 1st, it says that it was accepted. So that was about a 2-day span between the two, but it took 3 days total to get to the local Board of Elections.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for expanding on your experience, Hannah. We really appreciate that.
Just in case people maybe they don't feel like it's secure, I promise that the absentee voting system has been in place for years in many states, no matter what state you are in. So I just don't want it to be a discredited system.
All right, well, if there are no more questions, I think that we're going to conclude for the night. Thank you so much to our speakers from OSLE for this presentation and for your very valuable knowledge and for all the resources that you guys provided. If anyone would like a copy of this presentation, we would be happy to get it to you. Feel free to message any of us or to just send a message in the group chat if you would like to, and we will send it your way. Once again, please RSVP to our Wavelink form. We can also send you the link to the presentation through that. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.